Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Alan Rosen.
Welcome to CAD-116 Basic AutoCAD in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Alrighty, so we're at our D2L core shell, and we're using our regular link, and we'll continue to use that link. And as we go through, we've released Module 5. Module 5 learning objectives are viewing commands, layering, and object properties from our textbook. The exercises for Module 5, you're to pick one of either this mechanical, or this ARC site plan. And so just one project for Module 5, and you can choose which one you would like to use. Other information as far as the drawings and things like that are here. We do some work with content like showing the floor plan drawing and then using that in AutoCAD when we go through and we work with some of these display commands. And so the idea in this chapter is to be able to use commands like zooming, windows, be able to zoom in, and CAD is extremely accurate. And so facilities managers will use these floor plans nowadays to be able to keep track of things like where office space is and modifications and updates. Alrighty. So if we take a look at the outline of topics under content, here's the outline of topics, and here's where we're at. And so as we look at the outline of topics and in the progress that we're making, we're on view commands, layer and object properties, chapter 10 and 11. And then the green is the drawing assignment. And so you're to choose one of those drawings. And then there's a module 5 quiz under quizzes and exams to assess your understanding of those topics in that chapter. And then as we work through the semester, we will have a midterm on November 7th using HonorLock. And so HonorLock is a proctoring software that you'll have to have a student ID and a webcam. If you have difficulty and you can't use HonorLock, contact us and we'll make some arrangements with the testing center or in person. But that's coming up in November, so keep that on your list of things that are coming up. Back to the table of contents. And then if we look at our module 4 as a review, module 4 assignment covered the learning objectives for object snap tracking, and more draw commands. And when you work with AutoCAD, there's so many commands that we make these assignments small and to the point. And so when we look at our polyline drawing, we're basically looking at how to create these different geometries called polylines. And then we can actually go through and use inquiry commands like area and be able to calculate out the area of different objects. And so I can go and calculate out the area of this object, and I can see the area is 12.5 or 1.25 square inches and a perimeter of 6. And then if I go and I were to take a look at some of the other analysis functions, again, we have the computer do the work for us. And so to be able to calculate these mathematical things with triangles and trig is certainly a possibility, but we can create the geometry now, and the CAD system will calculate things out. And it does a great job for things that are not square or what they call normal surfaces. And so that was part of this assignment for module 4. And then if we take a look at, I'm sorry, it seems to have. Then there's an object snap drawing. And so O snaps, as we start to work more with CAD, are very important to be able to accurately select the geometry. And so this exercise was to create just these basic line geometries where we could come in. Let's make that red instead. And then we want to use object snaps. And so object snap is located right here, and O snap settings are here. And so as we work with our drafting settings, we're starting to work with snap and grid, polar tracking, and object snap. And then we're working with these different glyphs like endpoints, center points, quadrants, intersections, etc. And as we get more experience with CAD, you'll find that these are tools that we can use. So we could draw a line from the center to a perpendicular point. And so you have to watch it because right now it's setting an extension, but if I shift right mouse click and I say perpendicular, then that floats to the strongest O snap command, and it becomes the one that it will then put in. And then other commands like drawing a line from the midpoint, shift right mouse click, midpoint, they're technique. And then we get the tangency point. And so these exercises are meant to be quick. They're meant to get you working with object snaps, and there's videos for how to work with those. And so that'll be another skill that you'll pick up. And so module 4, you do these 2 drawings. I call them general design projects because they generally build your CAD skills, and then choose either a mechanical lab, and this one's taken straight from the textbook. This is a master cam or a CAD cam for those people that are following a manufacturing path. We can actually produce these using a CNC machine. And then for those that are working towards architectural, here's an architectural drawing. And I believe it's from the end of the chapter from the workbook exercises. All righty. Module 5 is released today. And as we look at the learning objectives, we're working with the view commands and the layer commands. And again, you're to draw one of these 3 assignments. Here's our textbook lecture. And so we link to those if you'd like to watch the videos. Welcome to CAD-116. And so we'll go through and demonstrate to the best of our ability what the author is talking about. And we're using that floor plan drawing that's included in the splash page. I think it's called floor plan. And you can see how you can then work with that floor plan. And this is a very common thing. We have the floor plan for the entire campus on CAD, and it's on AutoCAD. And we'll do things like look at machine installations, venting, HVAC issues and things like that. And so here's that floor plan sample drawing, and that's been included. And then we go through these different display commands. Alrighty, let's see if I can stop that. And let's go back to our D2L module 5. So the textbook lectures will go through the view commands and the layer commands. And then if we look at our AutoCAD instructor textbook, and then we look at the chapter 10. When you read the textbook, you want to read for these learning objectives, you know, being able to understand the relationship between objects and the display. Okay. And so we always draw objects full size, and then the display is used to show those objects. And then these zoom commands and pan commands are used to navigate throughout the drawing. And so when you look at these larger drawings, there's quite a bit of navigation that we'll use to go through those. And it mostly is working with the mouse, zoom and pan. A lot of the other commands were older and have been superseded by a mouse with a wheel. And so as we go through and we look at things, it does have some very helpful commands like the view res command. So if you're a CAD user and you're like, hey, my circles don't look like circles, then you need to, you know, tweak the computer settings for the view resolution. And so the computer will dial them down to lower res, but you can increase them. And so you'll get a lot of good content knowledge from the chapters, but it is detailed. And so the drawings are what drive the course. And so our drawings will be these. And then the quiz is located under quizzes and exams. Let me go in as a student. And so the quiz, we need to turn on 5. Let me just grab that real quick. I'm going to pause. Resuming. So as we look at the quizzes, here's our test 5 quiz. And then the practice midterm is also available. Okay. And as we talked about, that midterm will be set for November using Honor Lock. And you can go through and you can take the practice exam, which will take you through these questions and content information. Alrighty, so back to the main splash page. Remember, if you need assistance, that we are on the Skokie campus tomorrow, Wednesday, and we will give virtual assistance as well. So if you look at the student assistance announcement, we're happy to assist. We have got students who are coming into our Sunday class, and you're welcome on Sunday at the Skokie campus if you'd like just to get some additional assistance. With that, Al, I'm just going to ask if there's anything else that we need to cover before we end the Zoom recording and open things up for questions.
No, that's it. Did a great job, Joe. Thank you.
All right, Al, appreciate it. And I will stop the recording and open things up for questions.